In a small village nestled beside a quiet river, where thatched roofs peeked through the canopy of ancient trees, lived an old man named Ha, in a worn wooden house. Every evening, as the sunset turned the water golden, people would see him sitting on his porch, holding a pocket watch that had long stopped ticking. That watch wasn't just an object. It was a piece of memory, a vessel that held the most beautiful days of his life. But the longer he stared at it, the sadder his eyes became, as if time itself had left him behind. Mr. Ha had once been the finest watchmaker in the region. In those days, his hands moved swiftly, and his eyes lit up each time he brought an old watch back to life. Together with his beloved wife, Min, he had lived days filled with laughter. They would often sit together under the almond tree, listening to the ticking of a clock, like the heartbeat of happiness. But then, on a cold winter's day, Min passed away forever. The pocket watch, her gift to him on their 10th wedding anniversary, stopped working that very night. Since then, Mr. Ha had never repaired another watch. He clung to that broken one, as if by fixing it, the past might return. His house had now become a museum of scattered time. On his desk, tiny gears and springs lay still, covered in dust. He spent hours by the window, fingers gently holding the watch, trying to piece it back together, yet failing each time. Each misfitting gear brought a sting to his chest, as if the past was slipping further away. Villagers grew concerned. "Mr. Ha doesn't smile anymore," they whispered. "He lives among things that no longer live." One afternoon, as the light began to fade, a little girl named Lan, granddaughter of a neighbor, ran up to Mr. Ha's house. Only 10 years old, her eyes sparkled with curiosity. "Grandpa, why do you keep looking at that watch?" she asked, sitting beside him. Mr. Ha gave a faint smile, his voice low and slow. "Because it holds the happiest days of my life, Lan. If I could fix it, maybe your grandma wouldn't feel so far away." Lan tilted her head, not fully understanding, but she sensed the deep sadness in his words. She simply said, "But Grandpa, even broken watches can be fixed, right?" That innocent question made Mr. Ha pause. He looked at Lan, then at the watch, and something unfamiliar stirred within him. In the days that followed, Mr. Ha continued his hopeless task. He tried everything, replacing gears, cleaning parts, but the watch remained silent. With each failure, his memories of Min grew dimmer. He remembered her smile, how tightly she held his hand when they strolled by the river, but he also recalled the times she said, "Ha, don't cling to what you cannot keep. Live on for both of us." Those words once made him angry. Live on? How could he live without her? One night, as moonlight bathed the roof in silver, Mr. Ha sat there, hands trembling around the watch. He whispered to it as if speaking to Min herself. "I tried, Min, but I just can't." Suddenly, a strong gust of wind slammed the window open. The watch slipped from his hands and shattered on the floor. Tiny gears scattered across the room, glinting under the moonlight. Mr. Ha froze, his heart nearly stopping. He dropped to his knees, trying to collect the pieces, but they were too small, too broken. For the first time in years, a cold emptiness wrapped around him. Without the watch, what would he have left to remember her by? The next morning, sunlight crept through the cracks in the wall and lit up Mr. Ha's face. He sat in silence, staring at the broken pieces of the watch on the table. He hadn't slept. He had tried all night to put the pieces back together, but they no longer fit. His heart felt heavy, as though not just the watch, but his whole world had fallen apart. He thought of the years gone by, how he had lived inside his memories, refusing to see the new sunlight, refusing to hear the birds outside. He had tried to stop time, but it was he who had become trapped. Lan returned, carrying a wildflower picked by the river. She placed it beside the broken watch pieces and said, "Grandpa, you looked so sad yesterday, but maybe the watch broke so you can make something new." Mr. Ha looked at her, his eyes moist with emotion. "Something new?" he murmured. "I don't know what to make anymore, Lan. Everything I had was inside that watch." Lan smiled, pointing at the flower. "But look, Grandpa, yesterday this flower wasn't open. Today it's beautiful. Everything changes, doesn't it?" Lan's words flickered like a small light inside Mr. Ha's mind. He gazed at the flower, then out the window, where the river flowed on, undisturbed. Something within him began to stir. He thought of Min, of her words about living in the present, of finding joy in simple things. But how could he begin again, now that everything familiar was gone? He felt afraid, but deep within, A tiny part of him longed to try, just once. That afternoon, Mr. Ha stepped outside for the first time in years. He walked along the riverbank where he and Min used to stroll. Each step brought him face to face with memories. He remembered her laughter, but this time, instead of pain, he felt a gentle ease. He stopped to gaze at the sparkling river. "Min," he whispered, "maybe you were right. Maybe I do need to keep living, even if only for you." When he returned home, Mr. Ha looked at the broken watch pieces on the table. Instead of trying to fix them, he gathered them into a small box. They were no longer a burden. They were a part of him, but not the whole of him. He took out a piece of paper and began to write, a letter to himself, a quiet promise. "Ha," he wrote, "it's time to let the past rest. Live the way Min always wanted you to." In the weeks that followed, Mr. Ha began to change. He cleaned the house, wiped the dust off old watch parts. He no longer spent hours by the window. Instead, he went into the garden and planted flowers, Min's favorites. Each blooming flower made his heart feel a little lighter. The villagers were surprised to see Mr. Ha smiling again, talking to them like he once did. Lan often came by bringing wildflowers, and he told her stories about Min, not with sadness but with joy for having loved and been loved. One day, Mr. Ha did something he never imagined he would. He took the broken watch pieces, along with some old metal scraps, and crafted a wind chime. He hung it on the porch where the sunlight danced through. Whenever the wind blew, the chime sang soft, clear notes, as if telling a new story. He stood there listening, and for the first time, he felt that the past no longer held him captive. It had become part of the present, woven into the chime, into the light, into the river. Lan came running up. "Grandpa, the chime is so pretty. It sings when the wind blows." Mr. Ha smiled and patted her head. "Yes, Lan, it sings because it's free." He looked up at the sky, where clouds drifted slowly. Inside him, peace began to bloom. He no longer needed the watch to tick again. He had found his own time to live, to love, and to heal. Mr. Ha's story isn't about winning a race or achieving something grand. It's about small steps, the quiet moments when we choose to let go. There are things in life we cannot hold on to forever. A loved one, a memory. What did you learn from this story? Hope to see you in the next video. I will tell the same story, but with an even more surprising ending. Please like, share, and subscribe to my channel.